Hey, what's up? Surfin' Chef coming at you again here with this. This is just a mess of goodness right here in front of me. We're going to do some cream of mushroom soup on this hot day. That's absolutely the last thing you want to eat on a hot day. All right? Who cares? We're going to make some cream of mushroom soup because I have some very good friends, Rodney and Liz. I told them I'd make them some soup, and we've been craving some mushroom soup. And like I've said before on Facebook or whatever, one of my favorite things to do in the whole world is just to go to a farmer's market or a produce stand and just walk around with no plan and just see what jumps out and grabs me. And look at these baby bellas right here, just beautiful mushrooms, and these white button mushrooms are just screaming cream of mushroom soup. So even though it's hot and sticky here in South Florida, it's been a lot of rain lately, we're still going to make a cream of mushroom soup, and it's still going to be killer because I don't make anything that sucks. I make everything that I want to eat, and I make it just grubby. So if I make it, it's going to be good. And if I make something and it doesn't taste good, then I don't know what happened. I just must have been on something, but it's going to go in the trash. But this is just going to be the best cream of mushroom soup you ever had. I guarantee you that. So we got some vegetable stock here, and I didn't make this from scratch. Scratch is always the best, but this stuff is organic, better than bouillon, roasted vegetable base. Mix it with hot water. Killer, man. You don't ever want to make soup with just plain water, okay? I'm going to tell you why right now. Water brings nothing to the party. Water is like that friend that you have that shows up with just nothing. He just shows up at your house and you're having a party and everyone's supposed to bring a little food, a little dessert, a little something to drink, and this dude just shows up with nothing. Like, hey, what's happening, buddy? Don't bring water to the party, okay? Just stock. You always want to use stock. Don't be that guy, okay? And we got some fresh peppers, onions, of course the star of the show here, the mushrooms. We got some carrots and celery. That's your standard mirepoix. That's pretty much every soup base is going to have that. These are had extra, so they're going in just because they have a nice pretty color. They're going to add to the party. The potatoes, I mean, it's cream. Any cream soup, potatoes are going to rock in there. They're just going to go right along with it. A little bit of liquid smoke. That's a good little extra background flavor. Seasonings here. White wine, very important. We're going to get to a certain point when we're sauteing everything. I'm going to hit it with the white wine. That just gives it another layer of flavor. And this starts it off right here. I got some bacon, and that's still a little frozen. That's going to go in first, crisp up, give a little grease. Then we're going to hit it with our vegetables, saute everything, add a little bit of butter. So I'm going to get all this stuff ready, and we'll come back going into the pan. See you in a few minutes. All right, so we're going to go over real quick. I got my carrots and celery cut up right there. There's not much to that really. Just keep them same size so they cook the same in the same time. Be consistent. So we're going to cut the onion. I'm going to show you a quick way. You always leave the root attached. And we're just going to, nice sharp knife. Make sure your knife's sharp. Cut the face off there. Throw that in the, thanks for coming to the party bowl over there. And whack it right in half. The root's still going to hold even though it's cut in half. And then we're going to get rid of this first layer here. Just quickly. Move that guy. Get this out of here. So now I got this nice and flat. The root's still holding everything together. Taking my knife, remember I showed you how to hold it. Hand flat right here. Give yourself some room too. It's kind of tight here, so anyway, there we go. And you just cut into the face, all the way back to the root, but don't cut all the way through. And then all the way up, about the same distance apart. Be consistent. So I got 4 cuts in there. Now I want to come back and make my vertical cuts. Watch your fingers here. Straight down. Straight down. And the tip of the knife blade, you see, is going almost all the way to the root. All the way back. So the root's still holding everything together. It's already starting to come apart there. That's okay. So we're going to hold it together like this. Curl those fingers back. And just straight down. Straight down. Move the fingers back. See, now you got all these pieces and they're all uniform. And you can change it. If you want bigger chunks, make your lines, your cuts a little bigger. If you want smaller ones, go smaller. There, and then this stuff, just whack that off. You don't want the root. And give these guys a little rough chop here real quick. So that's how you cut an onion. Now for the mushrooms, I like to take and just pop the stem off. If you want to use the stem, go for it. Nothing wrong with it. If you want to save the stems later to make some stock, that's great too. And And then for the mushrooms, you just take them like that. That's a little bit wide. Remember, everything you want it to be bite-sized pieces. So if something's a little bigger, you know, like when you go to a salad bar and you get your bowl of salad and there's like pieces of broccoli like this big. How are you going to eat that? Cut everything bite-sized. There, nice and perfect. And the guys that are really good with the knife, you see them go through this and they're just like, man, they're so fast. I'm a little slow here. And I'm going to whack those guys in half again. So that's some little knife skills right there. So I'm going to continue cutting all this stuff up. You've already seen me cut up peppers. And this, I forgot to tell you about this. This is a little bouquet garni. It's got some herbs in it and black peppercorns and a bay leaf. And I put it in cheesecloth, wrapped it up twice and knotted it up real good. Because I want the herb flavors, but I don't want the herbs when they cook, they turn black. And then if you've ever eaten soup and you see like black stuff floating around, that's not appetizing. And that's what it is someone just dumped herbs in there. Either they're fresh or even dried. They're going to turn black eventually. You're going to have black specks floating in your soup, and that's nasty. You don't want that. But I want the flavor. So I need the flavor without the black nasty stuff. So that's the answer right there. You could also use one of those metal tea strainers. I use one of those sometimes, but for me this is easy. You just chuck it in when you're cooking. I usually put it in when I put the stock, so there's a lot of liquid, and then when the soup's done, you just pull it out and toss it. It's already given up its flavor. And so that's it. I'm going to continue putting all this stuff together, and we're going into the pot real soon. We'll see you in a few. Alright, so we got all the mise en place done, ready to make some soup here. I want to go over the recipe with you. I don't really use a recipe, but I want to go over the ingredients with you anyway. So we got bacon, of course, right here. This is probably like, you know, 1/3 of a pack of bacon. We're going to add about 3 tablespoons of butter. And then I'm doing these in the order they're going to go in. So we got some onions and pepper there. Carrot, celery, 3 cloves of garlic, fresh chop. I got 2 potatoes here, diced up, small dice. And they're in cold water, so otherwise they'll turn brown. We've got our mushrooms here, ready to go. White button and baby bellas. We got our stock ready to go there. That's 4 cups each there, so 8 cups, 1 quart. Seasoning here, this is a mix of salt, pepper, onion, and garlic powder. And celery too, I believe. Now I got about 1/4 cup of flour that's going to go in. And ground mustard, about 1 teaspoon, liquid smoke, and a little bit of celery seed. So my pan's heating up, so I'm going to go ahead and get the bacon going. Oh, and the white wine. Don't forget the white wine. That is good stuff. And the heavy cream is in the fridge. I didn't want it sitting out here. It's like 90 degrees and humid. So bacon's going to go in, moving over to the pot. See you in a few minutes. Alright, so bacon's going in. Got our pan nice and hot. We're letting this thing preheat for a while. Nice, thick, heavy soup pot here. So hear that? That's what you want to hear. If you put something in a pan and you don't hear that noise, it's not hot enough. Take it out, let it keep heating up. So what we're going to do is just render this bacon down so it's crispy, and it's going to give a little bit of it's the fat to the party. Bacon always brings something good to the party. Bacon's like that friend who's like rich and always brings like the best shit to the party. That's bacon. I don't really eat a lot of bacon these days. I don't eat a lot of meat anymore. This is not, just a disclaimer, this is not a healthy recipe, alright? This is not a healthy soup. This starts with bacon and it ends with heavy cream. If you've ever read the label on a little carton of heavy cream, oh man, that's bad stuff. But it's the reason why things taste so good. When you go to a restaurant, you're like, why is this so good? Because it's made with manufacturing cream and bacon and stock and all kinds of good stuff. Okay, so we're just going to let this render down till it's crispy, gives up all its fat, and then I'm going to add a little bit more butter because I need a little bit more to match the 1/4 cup of flour that I'm going to put in here. And then we're going to get our mushrooms and our other aromatics in the pot. So just hang tight. We'll be back in a few minutes when this is nice and crispy. It's already starting to give up some fat. See you in a few. All right, so the bacon, nice and crispy, brown, lots of grease in the pan. So we're ready to move on to step 2 here. I'm going to add a little nub of butter there. Butter makes everything better. And I'm going to go in with my onions, yellow peppers. Love that sound. That sound, oh my God, the smell, just these onions just hitting the pan. Give them a stir. Oh man, this is just killer right here. Oh wow, that smells just divine right there. All right, so garlic, celery, carrots in. Mushrooms going in. That's going to be a killer soup right there. So this step is going to take a little bit of time here. Don't rush this. Let these things all get in here and give up their flavors. You got to really sweat this. And I can just take all this stuff that I just cut up and prepped here and just dump it all in the pan at the same time, and yeah, it's going to be a soup, but it's not going to be as killer as if you take your time in each step. Crisp the bacon, let it give up its fat, put all the aromatics in there, let them sweat. They're getting hot, they're giving up oils, they're giving up flavor, they're giving up liquid. The mushrooms are going to take on liquid, then they're going to give it back, and that adds another layer of flavor. And then we're going to hit it with some wine and crank the heat on it, and that's going to add another layer of flavor. And then we're adding the stock and the flour, and just everything we do is building layers of flavor. That's why when you go out to eat at a nice restaurant, I'm going to crank this heat a little bit, and you have that soup or whatever you order, and it's got that depth of flavor. You're like, gosh, how do they make this so killer? Try to make it at home and it just doesn't even taste the same. This is why, because they're building layers of flavor. This is so important to not rush this stuff right here. You know, and it may seem like it takes a little bit longer, but you know what? The result is, well, it's well worth it, trust me. I used to serve this soup at the little bar and grill that I ran in San Luis Obispo, California. And people loved it, man. It was just delicious. And it's just a simple, just a cream of mushroom soup. People raved about it. Everyone I've ever made this for said it's delicious. They love it. And it just makes them smile. And that makes me feel good. That's the whole reason I love to cook. I love to make people happy, make them smile. And the most important ingredient you can put in anything you do is love. If you don't give a shit about what you're cooking, it's not going to taste good. If you really cook something with love, that you care about, you have passion for it, and you want to make people happy with it, it's going to be delicious. Just, that's the biggest ingredient right there. And that's why sometimes, you know, you go out to eat and it's just, it's maybe not as good as it should be, because there's some dude back there who's just cooking because it's a job. He doesn't have a passion for it. You know, kind of sad, but that's the way it is. I have a passion for cooking. This is what I love to do. And if I had boatloads of money, I'd have all kinds of restaurants, man, just making people happy. That's not yet. Someday I will. So I'm going to let this sweat down. It's going to take, you know, it might take 15, 20 minutes. I'll know when it's ready. Everything will just, the onions start to get translucent, and the carrots and celery start to soften up, and the mushrooms shrink down a little bit. And then we'll know it's time to go on to the next step. Oh, before we move on here, this is when I add some seasoning right here. Some fresh cracked black pepper. Good stuff right there. A few turns on that. And I got this one right here. This is like a blend of salt, pepper, garlic salt, celery salt, probably some onion powder. It's just good. And I can just eat like a taste of it every now and then. It's important to add the salt right here, because the salt is going to start drawing the moisture out of these vegetables. It's going to cause them to sweat even more. If you want to see that in action, just take salt and put it like on a cucumber slice or half of an avocado, and come back in like 7 minutes and you'll see that it's sweating. That's what it's doing in the pot here. So we're building flavors. That's a beautiful medley of colors right there. And that's going to be a wonderful mushroom soup. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, we're back. So these guys are looking really good. Everything's softened up. Carrots are nice and soft. Still got a little bite to them though. Celery's the same way. Onions are really kind of starting to be translucent now, softening up. The mushrooms are just looking really killer. So we're going to go in with our flour a little bit at a time. Stir it around, so you don't want a bunch of clumps. Just want to stir in little bits. No hurry. We're going to stir this around. And this flour, what it's going to do, we're just creating our roux now because this is a cream-based soup. So this is going to be our roux because we got all the fat in there already. The bacon grease, the butter we put in, and now this flour is going to soak up all of that, plus all the liquids that these vegetables have given up. And it's just going to get really thick and pasty, and that's okay. Because the next guest coming to this party is the wine, and that's going to be really good. So we're going to get this flour stirred in. I'm going to cook it for a couple minutes and stir it around so I know there's not any clumps. And then the wine's going to go in. Man, it's going to be good. And the flour gives the soup its thickness. When it heats up, when you bring it to a boil, after we put all the liquids in there and bring it to a boil, that's when the flour is going to start thickening everything up, and then the cream comes in with the finishing punch. So I'm going to crank the heat on this a little bit. I had to go with the burner here because the barbecue burner just was going to take too long. It works good for some things, but for this I really need to be able to control my heat. Because there are certain times, like when I put the wine in, I need to crank that heat up because I want to cook the alcohol off the wine, but I want to leave a little bit of that background flavor, that nice wine flavor in the background, and that's what the heat does. Crank it up there a little bit, get this really going. Add the wine, stir it around, and then the stock's going to go in. And I haven't put the potatoes in here yet because if you put them in now, by the time you go to eat your soup, the potatoes are just going to be like mashed potatoes in your soup. They're just going to fall apart. So I want them to have a little texture still when you're eating it. So they go in last. They don't take long to cook, just a few minutes. So they go in at the end, and I think it's time for some wine. Stand by for that. You can put as much or as little as you like. I usually say at least a half a cup. Sometimes I might get a little happy and do. That's probably about a cup right there. And that's okay, because it's not going to be super strong. Like when you smell it right now, it smells like, oh my gosh, so winey. But it's really not. It's going to cook off. Oh, it smells good. Okay. And this is where you want the high heat. Yep, it's starting to thicken up already. Flour's doing its thing. Oh yeah, that's good. We're just going to give this a couple minutes. Cook it around. We're going to come back, add some stock, and then some cream, and we'll finish this soup off. See you in a few. Alright, so the wine's cooked down now, all sec, and I've scraped the pan really good, because that's really what you want to do, is you want to deglaze the bottom of the pan and get all those flavors that are stuck to the bottom of it. And I've done that. This is ready for some stock now. So in you go. And now it's going to turn into a soup. And I'm going to go ahead and put both of these in. And also now, time for the garnet, whatever it's called, bouquet thingy, herbs. French got a nice term for everything. We butcher it. I'm sure they love that. That's okay. They'll get over it. All the oldest cooking techniques really started in France, and we got to give the French credit for all the fine dining, all the classic techniques, all French. From going way back, first restaurant, all that good stuff. First cookbooks, first recipes, all the mother sauces. The French are responsible for all that. Can anybody name the 5 mother sauces? Any good chef should be able to name 5 mother sauces. If you ask somebody 5 mother sauces, they don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what school they went to, what restaurants they worked in. So my favorite of the 5 mother sauces, I don't know, man. They're all so good. Hollandaise, one of my favorites. Of course, tomato is awesome. I think the one that has the deepest flavor for me, Espanol. And then you got your bechamel and your velouté, and they're all unique, and you can do so much with them. And I like hollandaise. It's one of my favorites to make because I make it the classic way. I used to go into school early and make it for breakfast, just practice, you know, with the double boiler and just whisking it by hand, and I got really good at it. And now, honestly, I'll put my hollandaise up against anybody, man. Same with this cream of mushroom soup. You want to have a cream of mushroom soup throwdown? Come on over, bring it, man. Let's do it. I love it. We'll have a hollandaise throwdown too. Man, I go out to eat sometimes and I'll order like I said, I don't eat a lot of that kind of stuff anymore, but every now and then I'll have a cheat day and I'll order hollandaise, you know, eggs Benny. And I'm always disappointed because the hollandaise is the star of the show and it just sucks. I mean, really, the rest of it's just an English muffin, please. There's nothing to that. You can buy them, toast them up, a piece of ham, a poached egg. Those aren't the stars. The star of the show is the hollandaise, man. So you need to make that just over the top, and they don't, and I'm always disappointed. All right, so now we're going to bring this to a boil. This thing's awesome. I can crank the heat, and it's going to come to a boil. And we're going to add our cream pretty soon, and potatoes are going in. I'm going to add a little liquid smoke, and then this thing's going to be ready to go. So we'll be back in just a few minutes, finish it off with the cream. See ya. All right, so our cream of mushroom soup is up to a boil now. I dropped the heat just a little bit. And what you want to do here is always taste as you're cooking. Get a spoon. Yeah, that's already killer. Taste for your seasonings. Okay, now we're going in with the cream. Heavy cream. I'm going to go in with all this. This is going to give it that nice creamy white color there. It's going to lighten it up quite a bit. Oh yeah, that's killer. And that just added like 3,000 calories, but hey man, this is seriously killer soup. Enjoy it every now and then. Also right now, I'm going to go in with the potatoes. All those. Crank the heat back up a little bit. And now we're just going to bring it to a boil and then drop it to a simmer and just let it thicken up and it's ready to go. That's it. That's all there is to it. Cream of mushroom soup. You make this for your family, your friends, they're going to love you, man. They're going to ask for it every week. And you're going to have to explain to them like, dude, this is not something we eat every week. It's not healthy, but maybe like monthly, okay? Just go to the gym some more. There you go. All right, so we're going to come back when this is all thickened up, and we're going to try it out. Put it in a bowl, make it look all pretty. So we'll see you in a few minutes. All right, so our soup's ready. Nice and thick, and it's delicious. The potatoes are nice. Still got a little bite to them. So I'm going to go in with a little, finish it off with just a little bit of liquid smoke. Just maybe like a teaspoon at the most. You don't want to go too strong. This stuff's really strong. But, oh man. That just gives it that little background like, wow, what is that? Kind of like the wine does the same thing. Can't go wrong with that. Just don't put too much. This is nice and thick. Got a great color. Been simmering for a while now, thickened up nice, and this is a soup that is delicious right now. This is so good. But the thing is, tomorrow after it sits in the fridge, it's even better. It thickens up more, and just the flavors meld together, and it just gets better each day. So it won't last more than a couple days. If you got this soup in your fridge for more than a couple days, then you're just not hungry or something's wrong with you. Go get yourself checked out. Go check yourself into a psych ward somewhere, because this is the best mushroom soup you're gonna have right here. So I'm gonna go over here now. I got a little bit of I just took some baguette, toasted it up, and then just take a little garlic clove, and you can, if you really want to be killer, you can roast this and then just rub it on there. Be careful, just lightly, because it comes apart. Oh yeah, it smells like garlic. And just, we're gonna serve this up. I'll have a picture posted of the finished product. So I hope you guys try the cream mushroom soup. If you got any questions, hit me on the comments or send me an email. You can get me at Surfin Realtor on Instagram, Facebook. This is Surfin Chef saying peace. Don't be a cook.